I've looked into it pretty much extensively,
Awesome.
and looking into the Trilateral Commission as well, almost simultaneously while I was looking into the, I kind of started on a tangent on both of them, which then led me down the road of going back at the timeline right back to the early 1900s, and then I've kind of stayed there. I've stayed somewhere in between 1700 and not 1700, sorry, 1900 and 1952, researching around those years.
Yes, yeah,
1909
a lot happens.
is a bit of a stickler for me. 1909 is just one thing that I'm into at the moment.
But it was total chaos in some of these periods where they literally start shoving around stories and just displacing things that happen and
Big time.
jumbling it around. It's crazy.
Roxanne,
yeah.
Are you familiar with Max Egan from Australia?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, he's kind of has that hippie love. I mean, I love Max. He's a good guy. I think his heart is in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got that kind of love, peace, and that. But he's been looking into a lot of this history too.
I think the one thing that's I'll just tell you what I'm looking into at the moment. I've just recently started looking into the birth of think tanks and what year that was and what that was off the back of, and the connection with think tanks starting up in the Bilderberg Group and Chatham House and the Chatham House Rule, and why.
I know, when you really think
that ties in with the world wars and everything. It's all connecting the dots, I suppose.
Yeah, he's starting to suggest that these Napoleonic wars and the American Civil War and all these things were actually much more congruent in the time frame. Yeah. So for me, even though I know it's I don't like, I know it sounds silly, but I don't like shouting. I know it's flat. I just know it's not what I've been taught. But since I know it's not what I've been taught, I feel like it's not a crime, is it, to look into other subjects knowing that you're not living on what you were taught? Does that make, if you have that as a basis for where you're having every conversation after, that's probably where I'm at. I know it's not what I've been taught, and now I'm on everything else. Yeah.
Well, Roxanne, I'd like to leave a footprint as far as I've noticed that you've talked about the Trilateral Commission. The first book that's published is actually in 1454, which is the Bible. So start off with that footprint. Now, looking at the Bible, we're actually looking at the book. It is copyrighted by the family. So now we need to actually attach that from what you're learning.
You say 1454.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's copyrighted by Gutenberg family.
Did you say copyrighted by who?
Gutenberg, German family.
Mm-hmm.
Gutenberg Press. You mean the first internet? The first mic?
So you could start from there with that footprint. You could go even before that and after that. However, since it's the first book that's been printed, all books prior to that obviously has been rewritten in English. So I need you to have that cognizance awareness while you're seeing things in these timelines and the family.
Right.
TLC, yeah, the learning.
So I mean, if we go back on line, Rox, I want to ask you because Anthony was talking the other day about responsibility. Who was responsible for this lie?
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't have to give me your opinion just yet. When the show starts, I'll ask you, who's responsible. So yeah, you can obviously say now, but because is there a single person or is it a conglomerate?
I don't think it's a single person. Well, maybe it's like a management structure, like tier 1, 2, and 3 management structures. Maybe you've got tier 1 and then tier 2 and then tier 3. If it was like that, I think it would end up going back down to bloodlines. I've been looking into blood types and vaccinations and and all sorts.
Let's save it for the show, because that's what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to get into all of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
good,
absolutely
good.
Yeah, that bugs me about lineage and stuff, and how far people don't trace it back from, and stuff like that. It's just, very disconnected.
Well, I don't know if Anthony's still here.
It is interesting how they've kind of hidden the importance of blood, and they've been selling us this
Of course.
South Africa sort of human genome project, and I mean, my father did that 23andMe against my wishes, and of course we got, because we're Mediterranean and Eastern European, and we got 3% Jewish, which I'm like, oh my god, like how. They're suggesting that they're selling this idea that Judaism is a blood, a gene pool. I mean, you can leap to the conclusion with some Eastern European or Mediterranean that, well, somebody must have been a Jew in my family, or pagan before Catholic. It's ridiculous.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link on the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on Facebook and Twitter, as sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Spurs Chemo, Sleeping Warrior, Sing Song, which I think is Earth Flattener, Roxanne, Physics Warrior, Event Horizon, Eric, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Hello. What? Thank you for having me.
Good afternoon. Yeah, so I mean, I was kind of saying to Roxanne just off there about responsibility, because Anthony was talking about he wants to look for someone who was responsible for the deception, and I kind of said I don't think personally there is any one individual that you'll be able to take down. But Roxanne, who do you think is responsible? If we wanted someone to be, charged, so to speak, for this crime or this lie, what route or who, what, where, how does it, in your mind, in your opinion?
I think it will be the people that are connected to their original lineage. So I know that, it's a particular set of bloodlines. I don't know what ones, but I know it's a particular set of bloodlines. I feel like there's been a lot of muddying of the waters as far as people's bloodlines are concerned, and blood types, and bringing vaccinations into all of that on top of it to mix up and muddy the waters again. So I think you have to look at
when you say bloodlines, what do you mean? Families,
powerful families, the most powerful families internationally. So just go and look at the top 3 most powerful families internationally, and I think probably within a few degrees of those families, if you do a bit of Columbo detective work, you're probably going to find more damning evidence as far as that's concerned.
Can I suggest one thing briefly? The only issue I've had with that route of attack is there's a big missing piece, and I just put it in the Far East,
Yeah, possibly, yeah. I mean, there's
what are kind of
talking about? Yeah.
what I kind of meant was we're looking for who's responsible for the lies, someone that we can kind of point the finger at and say, well, we can't blame the teachers. Is it the education board? Is it, you're saying it goes higher than that? So how would someone take the blame for this if there is somebody who can? How would that happen?
Well, possibly if we were looked at as an international farm, it would be the top tier management of that farm that would be responsible for holding down, controlling that farm.
So, I mean, I don't think we're at the New World Order just yet. So I don't think there is one kind of farm, owner. So I'm not sure. Well, Anthony was asking the question more like who can he, find responsible for this?
Well, the only legal statutory responsibility I found is the Secretary of State for Education. He has a statutory duty to, quote, promote education in England and Wales. But promoting education is a bit of an issue because...
So you mean sell it, promote, sell.
Well, promote definitely doesn't mean lie, does it?
No, but it just sounds like, I mean, I promote the iPhone. I'm just selling something.
Okay, but who does he promote it for?
What about the word education, though? I mean, is Copernicus's model of the heliocentric model of the solar system, is that education, or is it like ideas, perception, opinion? I mean, where do we draw the line between education that's sound and education that's nonsense? Is there a line? Should there be the line? And if there is a line, where is it? And who works it out? Because I think that the promotion of education in England and Wales is so broad that you'll never get him on anything because it doesn't mean anything. But that being said, if you can show that it's lies, that means that he's not promoting education, he's promoting lies, and lies could never be education, right?
Well, it all depends on the angle because, yeah, you could also have Bible studies even in school, and that used to be the case, right. And some cases still is. And I see no problem with it as long as it's properly classified. So I think that science, so-called science that goes into planets and outer space and all that it's classified in heliocentrism. So that's,
but is
the
that
border
education?
is clearly defined. And then, yeah, if somebody wants to study into that, that's fine, as long as they're clear about what it actually is they're studying.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle. A big science fiction puzzle, basically. And it is very fascinating. But, yeah, it should not be forced as the truth.
Do you think, Roxanne, people should do activism outside schools, colleges, universities? Almost not stopping the students, but giving them something to take into the classrooms and to give the teachers to think about?
Well, I think there definitely is room for that. I think I don't think it's going to be long before students start doing that themselves. I think it won't be long before students start, students and students' union and stuff. I'd
be wary of doing that where I am. I mean, with this pedophile, they have these what are these, like 100 meters from a school, drugs, you get 20. I mean, I could just picture drugs,
Yeah, I mean, my daughter's got no qualms talking about this subject in her school, and she's in year 11. She's doing her GCSEs, and she's got no qualms talking to her teachers and her peers about it. She's not suffering any kind of social backlash as a result of it. That might be an isolated situation. That might not be for everyone, but most of the teenagers she talks to can talk about it freely without any ridicule. Most of the kids in my daughter's school know that most of the mainstream media is absolute poppycock in the first place. So
then, I mean, I suppose people might say, as parents, they're responsible for what their children are taught. No, if we know that they're being taught lies. Well,
I mean, I think you've only got to look at the growth in home education in the country in the last 18 months to 2 years. And you look at all of the new can we call them new age type of guidance centres, indoors and outdoors. There's now nurseries and guidance centres that are strictly outdoor. and parents are putting their children into those instead of putting them into mainstream education. There's a couple near where I live. In fact, where I live near Richmond Park, there's one that uses the common by my house 5 days a week, and they have the children in there all weathers, learning in nature, and it's not like a day trip for them. That is their nursery outside. So I think even though those parents may not know that they've been lied to about where they live, they definitely have become incensed with the education system. And I think there's a lot of people internationally that are becoming a bit disillusioned with compulsory education.
So the main thing is that you're having fun with flat Earth. It's not getting you down. It's not like, oh, what will they teach my daughter? It's it's.
Oh, no, my daughter's well clued up into the fact that she needs to go to school, and I suppose if you're a gamer and you play Call of Duty, it's no different from gaining XP points and going through to the next level.
Right. It has become very systematic. It's true.
I got a card sent home from school telling me my daughter just got a 9 in her mocks for physics, and she's fully woke and she's excelling at school. She's playing it like a game.
How old is your daughter?
She's just about to turn 16 on New Year's Day. And the lowest grade she's achieving is an 8, and that's just in biology. That's the one stickler that she's got, and she's looking to go into law. She says to me, there needs to be more woke people in law so that we can get into high enough places to go and change it. She's determined.
I've noticed that in my research so far that flat Earth is mocked legally as well.
Yeah,
there are citations.
They're using it in family courts here. I mean, the mothers or fathers that they divorce, and then they're a flat earther and they're an anti-vaxxer. Like, those are the two things that are.
Yeah, she's already able to come home and she's cluing me up about legal fraud.
Yeah,
she's already on it in that sense, and she's only 15 and she's only been studying and going down that road for the last 3 or 4 years. Really, 3 years since she's been woke.
Would you encourage her to speak to the physics teacher, the science teachers, and ask, or just kind of just accept what they? What would you suggest she does?
She does challenge most of the things that she's taught in class. She does have a teacher that knows it's not a ball, who's teaching GCSE subjects at the moment. He's even got his own flat Earth mug that he slaps out on the desk as a conversation starter for them, and he's quite open about it.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I stand. A lot of people have taken the stand to homeschool, which I can totally appreciate, but not all of us have it. And I still think it's good that we keep some of our offspring in this system to just disrupt it. I mean, I think there's not a singular approach.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, once I woke up, I thought, should anything happen to me, I need her to be able to navigate this reality in a truthful way and approach it in a truthful way. And so for me, it was incredibly important for her to be able to map her future out based on the fact that she's not living on what she's being taught she's living on. And if she's not being taught on what she's living on, she's probably not being taught the truth about who she is and why she's here, like I wasn't. So even though I learned late, I made sure it was my, responsibility.
Did she go on the activism with you, or you kept her away from it?
Actually, she doesn't do the on-road activism, but when I've had friends over here, she's very a party to talking to people and quizzing people, and when I'm on like how we do video calls and people speak privately, there's a lot of times where I'll be speaking to Richard Lopez and she'll chime in and have something to say on it. And she was, she speaks to Harry, she speaks to Jason. When Dave Marsh came down to stay, she spoke to Dave. She kind of does her own little grilling session as a woke individual. But yeah, she also is wanting to start speaking about it publicly, but she wants to get her GCSEs out of the way first.
Okay. I just want to talk about the tour you did. Can I ask, how did you choose the cities that you chose? Why? What was the idea behind that?
I actually didn't really have much input. I sat back on that because I felt that was a bit of a minefield in the first place, as we all did. We kind of knew that no matter what 50 odd locations it was going to be, we were only going to be able to please some of the people some of the time and not all of the people all of the time. So be it I'd only been out a few times, and some of the people I was collaborating with had been out there for over a year and had done some locations on multiple occasions. And even though there might have been a few locations they'd been to before, there was far more locations that they'd never been to before. And this is Jason and Harry I'm talking about, because it was Jason and Harry that was supposed to be on the tour together. Unfortunately, Jason's mother passed away, so he couldn't do part of the tour. But, hats off to Jason, because 2 days after the funeral, he was back on the tour bus. Just 2 days after his mum's funeral, he was back out there. So both of them had decided, it was best to kind of go to the extremities of places that probably had never seen anything like that ever. And that included going to places like Ireland and destinations in Ireland, and then all the way up to John O'Groats. And do you know what I find funny about John O'Groats is it was raining horizontal on the day that they went. It was absolutely horrendous weather. Harry walked the camera all the way out to the end so we could see he'd gone to the end, and walked back, and he was panning the camera around, and there was nobody there. There was like no one there. It's like, oh my gosh, we've driven all the way up there. There's not even one person on the street. So they parked up the van and they put the banner on a wall outside a public toilet.
Okay.
And we were on a hangout and we were having a chat live, and it was raining, and a guy called Chris Unwin, he's in there with him, Chris UK, and he said, I'm just going to go and use the toilet. So he got off the camper van and he walked off and he went and used the toilet, and Harry's talking away to us, and then you see this guy just come into camera, into shot in the back, and he kind of, you can see he's going into the toilet, he's looked at the banner a little bit, and then he's not gone into the toilet. He's just stood there staring at the banner. And then Chris UK comes out, and we can't hear anything. We can just see this through the window behind Harry's head. Yeah. And Chris UK comes out, and the only person that there was to talk to in John O'Groats spoke to Chris UK in the pouring rain for about 35 minutes and was like, right, I'm going to look into it. So we were incredibly encouraged that even though there was only one person to speak to, they wanted to listen, and they were prepared to go and look into it. So, yeah.
Okay. So I'm interested in the feedback from, the people that you spoke to. So has anybody kind of, got back to you and said, well, thanks, or anything like that?
Yeah, quite a few people have gone on the comment sections and they've said, I'm the person that was in the Yeovil video, or I was the person that was in the Taunton video, and then various other people have chimed in. They've asked for links, or they've asked for more information, pointing in general directions. There's also email links on all of our YouTube channels as well. So some people don't really want to go on the comment section. Some people aren't likers and subscribers and commenters. Yeah. Still holding back. In fact, that was probably the biggest surprise for everybody involved, for everyone that came on that tour bus. And there was a good few people that stayed on that tour bus, including myself. And there was, all of us have got experiences of multiple people coming out and going, look, I watch, I don't sign in, I don't like, I don't comment, but I'm here. And
I remember one incident with that blonde guy. He was very aggressive. What did you make of that?
I wasn't there. I do remember it, but I wasn't there. Yeah, I wasn't there. It was John Thor and Harry that were there. So
why did that happen, do you think?
I've seen, if we consider that to be like gas mark 7 on a trigger, I've seen like gas mark 5.5 on the subject. Right. I think we saw a few other gas mark 5 and 6s on the tour anyway, live. There's, I couldn't put a number on it, but I reckon for every, if I was to hazard a guess, out of every 300 people we speak to, someone goes nuts. One person.
Yeah, I'm just trying to gauge if you felt, it was definitely worth it. The results were good.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, I can say yes before I even hear the end of that sentence. Yes, I know the answer to that. It was yes. It's a resounding yes. The numbers of people that have contacted us privately, the amount of people that came out in person to the tour, made pilgrimages to the tour from other destinations in the UK where we didn't go, have travelled for hours to go there and brought their children with them as well. Whole families that are awake, that don't comment and don't sign in, and are actively waking people up. We've had people email us all the way from over in Japan, UK residents that live over there, that are in education over there, trying to wake up people in their own way over there, standing up and putting their hands up and going, look, I don't comment normally, but I'm here. Just a lady came out to the end of tour event as well. She rarely comments, and she's never gone to anything in person before, but she came to the event to go, I'm here. And
I mean, I could never. Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously, when I first found out about flat Earth, I could never imagined you could just go to the street so casually and talk about flat Earth. So it's something, you know, the ballers are surprised. They don't understand why we understand that the Earth is flat. But when things like this happen, this, because I discuss this a lot with the ballers, and I'm saying to them, look around, what's happening around. There are activists all over and spreading the word, and they need to see things like this. So it's exciting.
Big time. I mean, in Stoke-on-Trent, I went to a coffee shop with John Thorne. We walked probably about 100 feet away from the banners, up a slight incline into a coffee shop in the beginning of a mall that was big windows and everything. And we walked in there. Everyone virtually had leaflets at their tables because they'd walked in there from the streets. Everyone was having their own humdrum conversation about it, but it wasn't a coffee shop full of mockers and people taking the PISS out of it. They were actually talking about it, and people were on their phones looking at stuff. Jason's just last night, before he took the camper van, he stayed at mine last night. We took all the stickers off and everything. He was going through the numbers on FE Start.
It's just rising all the time.
I won't steal his thunder, but let's just say the numbers have absolutely soared. One of the websites couldn't handle it.
Okay, so I mean, I'm going to. Sorry, Spurs. Just finally, can you just before I get up, can you just finally give your proof or your evidence why we're not on the globe and why you think we're on a flat Earth?
My main proof for
your reason.
I've never witnessed any curve. I've never witnessed any curve, and water
never curves.
Yes, water needs to be contained, and it doesn't curve.
All right, thank you very much. Fantastic. Excellent. Good.
I was just gonna ask one question off the back of all that. Did you say it was a coffee shop that didn't have any mockers?
Yeah, no mockers. Not just one, actually. There was a couple. There's a couple of coffee shops. Another girl, Lisa, when they were in Bath, she walked off into another drinking establishment. Don't know the name of it, but she said everyone in there was talking about it and no one was ridiculing it.
You mean after passing by you guys?
Yeah, after passing by in coffee shops, and I said, I don't understand that can't happen any other way unless you go out into the streets. No one's going to watch one viral video and then a whole establishment's going to be talking about it. That's not going to happen. It might if we win the World Cup.
Right, I just want to correct one asshole in the chat. Yeah. So Admiral Crunch, right, water at rest is always flat. Yes, water can do all kinds of different things. No need to be a pedantic idiot.
Yeah. It's funny though, when you're standing on the side of a boat and you look at the horizon, you see clear horizon from left to right. You take a panoramic shot of it. No curve. No curve. No curve.
Had Joshua in the chat continually pestering to join the panel. So I don't know if anybody's willing to let Joshua on. Don't feel in any way obliged.
Because Joshua can't be trusted to be decent.
I can't see the chat, unfortunately.
Do you know what Joshua's favourite question is?
What?
He says, how high is a 10-foot wall?
Why is that his favourite question? Have I missed a memo on that or something?
No, it just depends on the angle. it's essentially always a 10-foot wall, but depending on how far away you get from that 10-foot wall, the angle that you view it at will reduce. But according to the Globers, because they like to keep everything in orthographic view, maintaining actual sizes, they want a 10-foot wall to be a 10-foot wall at any distance and ignore the aspects of perspective, which would be to say that the angular size reduces.
Right.
But he's a bit of a dumbo. So back to the tour then. The tour's now finished. Are there any plans for it to be redone again next year?
Yes.
Is it going to be the same kind of format?
No.
Are they going to get a new bus? They had a really old bus, didn't they? It didn't look as old as what it actually was.
I'll say one word and I'll stress it. Convoy.
Cool.
The convoy next time. And yeah, bigger and less donation reliant. Better way of putting it. Yeah,
I'm not sure how
it won't be donation reliant. That's a better way of putting it.
I'm not sure how much of this conversation went out live and how much was before the show started. But you guys were talking about sort of fakery in the 1800s, and based on it, it pricked my ears so much. I even titled the show the 19th, as in 19th century. But any chance we can carry on to it? That's a conversation that fascinates me. I know Martin covers it a lot, as do a few others.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Go ahead. That was my lead in, hopefully, for you to just run with it without any direct questions from me.
No, are you talking to me? I don't know who you're talking to.
Yes, Roxanne, indeed. Sorry, I should have addressed you.
Cool. No worries. It just cut out a little bit. Can you just say that last bit again?
Just it was a fascinating conversation before the show started about the 19th century and some of the, that was it basically.
Yeah, so just recently, just in the early 1900s, from like 1909, it's just been bugging me out. I don't like, coincidences really cheese me off, and when there's too many coincidences, it just gets ridiculous, and everything you end up stumbling upon becomes another, oh right, yeah, of course, and that happened, yeah, right. And so with me, I went back to 1909, and obviously with the two polar expeditions in 1909 being declared, and then very, very soon after, this whole think tank business starting up, and obviously I've actually got a good fair amount of research on the timelines of different events that were going on around the world wars and whatnot. But the one I'm into at the moment is this, and it was the Brookings Institution starting in 1916. That American research group. It was started on Think Tank Row in Washington, DC. The only thing about it is they're dodgy. They're just dodgy at the root, like the Trilateral Commission. So with that being said, it kind of opened up another realm of research. Obviously, the Brookings Institution primarily deals in economics, metropolitan policy, and foreign policies, and their favorite title, global economy development. Obviously, that didn't just end there. It went on to Chatham House getting started in 1920. And with that being said, within 7 years, they started the Chatham House Rule. And they needed that because they needed to hold debates and discussion panels on all these controversial issues. And they like to call them controversial issues. But I think that that's a guise for what's really going on with the discussions that are going on within these groups. The Chatham House Rule, the name is in accordance with the Royal Institute of International Affairs. The Bilderberg meeting runs its meetings under the Chatham House Rule, so they're hand in hand. They're all in bed together, a lot of them. And then obviously you can go on from 1954, the Bilderberg meeting. I feel like that's just it. What goes on before that, the back picture for that,
around the world wars, after all of the expeditions, the high jumps, the fish bowls, the this, the that, the other. I feel like if we were looking at it in management tiers, I feel like these guys are like maybe tier 3, tier 4. These maybe like the where is it? I wrote it down. See if I can find it. Sorry if I'm on a bit of a long thing here, guys. 1 second. I wrote it down a second ago. 1 sec.
No worries.
I don't really know what I would call them. Whether I would call them the traders or the accumulators, or possibly the mechanics of this scheme that they're running. But yeah, I suppose that's an outline. Sorry if I went on a bit too much.
No,
Cool.
Tell us more. I love this stuff. The details of it. I've been going on with the Bilderberg group for a while, but not in too much detail, but I know about them.
I feel like the Brookings Institution were the first to pioneer the pumping out of international propaganda to the masses. I think that's why the masses have the opinion of they say this and they say that. I think that's the think tanks. But it's who do the think tanks answer to? Like the education, like what Anthony was saying about the guy that's he mentioned the head of the education secretary of whatever it is. Who do they answer to? And then whoever they're answering to is whoever they answer to, and then whoever they answer to. And I feel like when you backtrack all those people, it all goes back to the Trilateral Commission and these think tanks. Hence the management tiers. So that, yeah, that's just what I'm looking into at the moment, off the back of everything else.
May I ask Roxanne something?
Yeah.
As the odd man out, I mean, I some of the other guys here won't like it. I mean, all this stuff you're talking about, these groups, I get that, and I research that too, but it's been quite a long time where I've had a assumption or a conclusion that there's something deeply rooted in humanity that seems to hate nature. Like, I don't know if you get what I'm saying. I guess you could go look at the ancient stories, you know, with the Great Flood, and it seems to me there's that human beings have been traumatized by nature, or at least they feel traumatized.
Yeah, of course.
And I think there's something in that, and this is why we have this space, get off this disgusting earth, transhumanism.
No, it's
but that's because I think that's because we're taught to fear it. I don't think many, you know, unless somebody has how do I say it? You know, we're kind of born into that system of fearing it. They've got us fearing things that can be attacking us from outer space, and it doesn't exist.
They can use that, but at the same time, it can be a fantastic relief valve for territorial pressure. Like a guy feels like there's too many people around them, and he can fantasize, yeah, one day, you know, we can go to another planet and like have a farm there in the middle of nowhere. So it can be utilized in many ways. It's a psychological tool. Problem is that they literally tell everyone it's real. Well, you can use your own made fantasy world just the same way. Like I like to dwell in fantasizing about computer games. I did that a lot. Or I dwell nowadays on RPG games, like live role-playing, or not action, not live action, but just tabletop role-playing, telling stories, characters, and living in that world. And it can be, it's a glorious place to focus on, as it were. And yeah, the heliocentric space science fiction fantasy is the same thing. The problem is that they literally tell you, yeah, this is real. Actually, yeah, you can kind of assume that that is real. That's basically the accepted norm with science fiction, and that it could be real. And yeah.
So obviously you've been close to the guys that were involved in the tour. What's their overall feeling for the conclusion now it's finished, aside from the fact they're exhausted and they need a beer and just to get back in their own beds? What's their view in terms of what they've achieved? Did they see that they could have done more? Did they see that they've done a really good job? What are they thinking?
Yeah, I think I'm still letting them chill out in that sense. Jason was here just for an extra day just to help, get some help sorting out the camper. And we didn't really have very much time to reflect on anything. Like, today is actually the first day that I've been able to be like, Jason literally left this morning with the camper at like 10 o'clock this morning. So I waved the camper goodbye this morning, and it only just now feels like I've gone, okay. But I'm assuming for Harry, he had to drive all the way back up to Edinburgh and then go to work. So I doubt Harry's he's at work now. So
wow.
He literally left the event. And,
do they feel as though they've achieved something, or do they feel as though they could have done more?
Definitely. I think maybe not shell-shocked is probably the wrong terminology, but a little bit kind of stunned. We're all a little bit stunned with the fact that it was completed, because we hit so many hurdles on the way where our want to be able to save as much money as possible and get a price that was feasible in our head for a camper van, we ended up having to pay the price by paying through the nose for not getting good miles to the gallon, and the van breaking down and having to spend the best part of a week in a garage sleeping in the camper van. Harry was not pleased about that. Neither was I, neither was Jason. It was almost like before we could even really get it off the ground, it was like it was ground to a halt. And we're looking at quick fit signs outside the window, and Harry's just sat there going, well, at least everyone in the garage is getting, told to research it. And we thought it was the end. We thought that was it. We thought we weren't even going to get much further. And then, the suspension, we had issues with the suspension at the back. So we had to keep on taking things out of the back when the camper was moving and move it right to the front, which was very problematic because there isn't storage in the front. And the places where people are supposed to sit and be belted in while it's driving are near the front, behind the driver and the passenger. So it was almost like National Lampoon at sometimes gone wrong. And Harry did Chevy Chase a few times.
Whose decision was it to get that particular vehicle rather than like any other vehicle? What was that?
Okay. So the people that were involved in the private hangouts at organising it was myself, Robin, Chris UK, Harry, and Jason, and we collaboratively said, listen, it's champagne taste, lemonade money. Okay. It's donations. We need to get the best possible camper van we possibly can for as least as possible. Like we started looking at prices to begin with, and we were like, no way, this is too expensive. These things are really expensive to hire.
Yeah, they are really.
Wow.
So
nuts. So Jason probably sat up for 2 nights straight and ended up going on to not the companies, like when people just list the fact that they've got a camper van and they're hiring it out themselves. So say I had one and I put it on a listing to say I'm doing it. So Jason is now scouring through the listings, and we find that one that's just over 200 quid a week. And it was like, it did what it said on the tin. Okay. It absolutely did what it said on the tin, but it was like no frills. It was definitely serviceable. It was a blast from the past. We definitely all felt like we'd gone into a bit of a time warp when we went in there with the velour, everything. And it was like a blast from the 80s.
It was a 1994. 1994.
Yeah, but the interior, but the interior, I think the designers were still completely stuck in the 80s. They were still using their remit from the 80s. The designers on the inside, they had not moved on. There was no moving on.
Let's be honest. A 1994 VW. I can't remember what it was now, but I remember it was MReg. I mean, that's like 20 years old now, right?
Yeah.
25 years old.
Yeah.
So in one sense, it was fantastic that it did it. But in the other sense, if you could look back and spend a little bit more money to get more reliability, would that have been good money well spent? Or
yes, I think it would have. I think it would have. But I think even though we were estimating miles per gallon, we didn't get anywhere near what we thought, and we were being like really, like we thought we'd done it right. And I think, realistically speaking, that's why the tour is going to be the way it's going to be next time, because it's too expensive to get people to back you to do that. It was just we were halfway through the tour realizing that it was like, oh shit, we're really not. It's not that we've not done our maths right. It's like the tools aren't backing up the maths that we've done. This is not happening for this money. This is not going to happen. And then people involved in the tour started putting their money in as well. And it was like, okay, then it just became a task. It was like, we've started, so we'll finish. If we don't finish, there's no, we need to finish at all costs. Jason sold his motorbike, put the money into that. And as well, it was like, wow. But we got to the finish line. We got to the finish line and we did what we set out to do. We achieved it. And we started a wave of conversations, getting people to question what they've been taught. We didn't go out there and push a model. We all agreed that that was incredibly dangerous to start doing that, because none of us are holding on to a model in the first place. We all kind of agreed that, you know, just because we've come out of one belief doesn't mean we need to dive straight into another one. There's no need to do that. We're still just trying to make people aware they've been lied to in the first place before we start adopting a model. It really was just, can you please question what you've been taught, and can you slow down in life? You've got an hour and a half to watch Netflix. You really do have an hour and a half to talk about this, because it's relevant. It's genuinely relevant. And don't think it's just a couple of people that are talking about it. A lot of people are talking about it. So yeah, we set out what we achieved what we set out to do, wholeheartedly.
Quite a lot of newspapers got involved along the way. Did you keep count of how many newspapers got involved?
I didn't personally keep a ticker of how many newspapers were involved. I think between Robin and Jason, they could probably give a better answer than that.
Hey, Jose.
And Jason at the moment is taking the camper back, and I think Robin's at work, so I can't speak to both of them now to get the answer. But I think expect the answers for those to. I think you can get. Tuesday, possibly by this weekend. I'd say this weekend, the latest. We'll be giving a in-depth breakdown of the background of finances and being the transparent people we told you we'd all be at the beginning. It's just taken Robin a little while to go through it all with Harry. Harry's been sending him the receipts all the way through. Robin has done a spreadsheet, and we're going to be as completely transparent as possible. We are going to be brutally honest, so everyone is going to see it for what it is, and that's all we can do. We felt we got a good deal on the event at the end. We got it for a reasonable price per hour, and we felt we did the task justice. We wanted to give the task a good ending, and not just end up on some kind of high street, possibly in the rain, going, yeah, we've completed it. And we felt it was quite apt to go to a school.
I think, to be honest with you, I think you got to be credited for taking on such a massive task, completing it, and just persisting with it. Because it must be like a marathon in some ways, in that you've got to keep going, even though you've got loads more to do. You just got to keep going and keep going and keep going. And that, to be honest, it's a real test of stamina. And you've just got to credit the guys that got involved in doing it, because it's such a torment. I mean, the first 2 or 3 days would be really comfortable, but then by the time you get to day 10 and day 12, and then knowing that you're like not even 10% of the way around, you still got to carry on doing it. Moralize it.
So, I mean, I have, I don't know if it's like a concern, not just how to phrase this. So, what if you get into confrontational debates where you're standing? Let's suppose ball earthers are aware of what's happening, and they're like, well, this is a lie. How are you going to deal with the confrontational ball earthers?
Well, they've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. It's happened multiple times at Speaker's Corner. We deal with them, and it always ends up being us 1, them 0.
and then they tactfully retreat and then send someone else, and then we win, they lose, and then they retreat, and then they send someone else. And people that have been to Speaker's Corner have now started to recognize the patterns. It's quite funny. It's quite funny when they come back for like round 3 and they come in incognito and try and disguise themselves. That's hilarious. Harry came down the first time and he went the second week with Jason, and then Harry was back up in Scotland, and about 4 weeks later he came back, and within about 3 minutes of filming he clocked one of them in disguise. It was absolutely hilarious. He was trying to talk to Harry like he'd spoken to him for the first time, and Harry had clocked it. And I went, wow, trolls are real life trolls as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So
real life trolls.
Yeah,
not just hecklers. Yeah. Hecklers are one thing, but a real life troll, that's like, wow, that's big.
I mean, have you debated many online? Because I mean, they can be quite ferocious. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed.
I tend to stay away from the ones online and comment sections because I end up wasting my time, and my time's of value. So
what I'm saying is, if that is in the streets, how will you deal with that? I mean, you're posted in one place. You can't go anywhere. You know.
Yeah. I've just crossed that bridge when I come to it, like I have done in the past. I'm like, I think situations like that are inevitable, aren't they? They're actually. I think if you walk through life thinking that's not going to happen, I think you're not a realist. And I think it's it's inevitable. It's going to happen, and I suppose I'd have to have somewhat of a crystal ball to tell you what I do in the future. But the main confrontations I've come into in the past, they get mad when they can't hold me to something. So they'll start with, well, where's the edge? I don't know. You said it, not me. Didn't bring edge into it.
Is this Roxanne talking out here?
Yeah.
Hello. Do you get trolled a lot in your videos? I mean, do you check on your comment section and delete some comments, or just leave it all free for all?
No, do you know what? I've been guilty many a times of commenting back to the trolls, going, "Don't worry, I'm just going to leave your comment right there so everyone else can see it. Good fun. Enjoy, everyone. Enjoy the show."
And you can you can see when you are making a damage, because the more troll comments that come, it means you are making a difference. You are making a change. So
yeah. I kind of let them just stay there. I'm not really too fussed about what I don't do. Is I don't really allow the major troll behavior in my chat rooms, because that's another
but what I suppose what I'm kind of thinking,
there are moderators out there.
What I was thinking was more than like a troll. Yeah, let's say you come up against a rumpus in the street, where he's going to be saying, so he's not. I mean, I don't know if he might say he's trolling, but I think he believes he's on a board. So he's not trolling. He's trying to prove to you that you're wrong and he is right, but whatever it means. So, what if he refuses to, let you discuss this with others, and, he interrupts?
So there's one that I didn't clock until Harry and Jason pointed out to me when I did the day in Doncaster. There was a guy, a physicist, a really kind of tall butch guy in a kind of checked shirt, and he took my whole day up. Actually, he ruined my whole day. It was
right.
I say that because on the hangout later on in the evening, I'm on the camper with Harry and Jason. They're telling me about this great day they had in Doncaster, and I'm sitting there going, I'm just not feeling this. Like, I didn't have a great day. I was just consumed by one guy. And they looked at me and they went, yeah, we kind of knew that was going to happen, but you're going to have to, it's not for us to point that out to you. You're going to have to see that for yourself. And I had to really reflect, and I actually realized, oh, right, you took up my whole day, so I didn't talk to anyone else. Oh, right, yeah, I get it. Right. And it was under the guise of being friendly. And he kept on going, all right, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but what about this? And I'd go and then give him another 20-minute answer. And then he'd go, right, yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. Yeah, of course. Okay, so, and then I'm like talking for another half an hour. And then before I know it, the guys are going, right, we're going to wrap up the banners now. And I'm like, what do you mean? I spoke to Patricia Hurst briefly. I spoke to the lovely family briefly, a couple of other people briefly. But this guy, he just kept on coming back. And at one point I spewed out and I went, I need to go and get a coffee. And I walked off and he went, okay, bye. And I thought he was gone. And I came back and I was like, yes. And within 3 minutes, he came back on around and he was like, oh, right, you're still here. Because I wanted to say
and I was like, no, please go away. And I was trying to I kept on trying to bring the conversation to an end, but he kept on luring me into this false sense of security that I'd actually almost closed the deal.
That's what they would do.
Like blood-sucking parasites.
Yeah. So he completely I almost let the same thing happen in Leicester with that young boy that was talking about Darwinism coming from chimpanzees.
Yeah.
And he was talking to me and took up a lot of my attention there, and I was like, right, it's happening again. So yeah.
I think 10 people. There should be like you speak to them for a limited time and see how they, if they're inquisitive or not, or if they're genuine, and then you just kind of move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So you've got plant as many seeds as possible. Absolutely.
Exactly. So yeah, that's it's a very real thing, that whole art of distraction while you're out on the road. I suppose that's the way they're trying to censor the roads. Distract them.
Yeah.
But Roxanne, but you don't understand. You don't understand science. You heard that? Have you heard that argument? Just
if I'd had £1 for every time that I've heard that, I probably could have taken myself on a couple of holidays by now.
The space, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt and kind of jump in. I came to say I was just at work all day. And maybe you guys spoke about my video. Hi, everybody. And I did it twice. So what did I do? I did it the third time. And the third time I did it, I walked all the way at the end where I put the little phone flashlight down. And I show all the way walking so you can see, who's going to build a curved floor in a supermarket? And there's no little dip at the end where the flashlight is. There's no little obstruction. You can see the whole thing in my last video. What I want to say is a very sad day for the ballers. Very sad day. And that's how I titled my last video. It's a sad day for the ballers. Because after I got a 10-story building from 17.3 miles away, and you can see like 5 stories of the building, but then you can see a big tree, bushes in the bottom. That's blocking the bottom floors of the building. So it's there. Yes, it's a shorter spacing. You can see the top floors is a big, and then in the bottom is smaller. But the compression is a thing. We all seen it in Ranty's videos. We've seen it in Red Pill Philosophy's videos, and you will soon see it in my videos. So the compression is there. We see the whole building, and there's obstruction in a flat surface. But
Jose, you heard what they've said already, that this floor is curving. They said it's not completely flat and level. That's what they're saying.
Oh,
that's their response.
It's flat. I put the last video. You can see. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it. Who's gonna build a curve in a freaking supermarket, bro? Like, for real.
I know. They're ridiculous. I understand that it's flat.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I can't wait till go home and rewatch the show because I know it's beautiful. And the comments, the trolls are coming hard on my videos and Nathan's videos. He mirror, so they are butthurt. That's how you can say they are just suffering today, and they say like, holy shit, Jose is coming from behind, out of nowhere, and he is just single-handedly burying the globe more than it is, just nailing it more to the ground and stepping on it. So thank you very much. I will continue doing these little observations and a lot of more amazing observations with the P900 on the upcoming days and weeks.
Cool. Thanks for doing it. I was really pleased when you produced this. I'm sure you were chuffed with the result as well when you saw the light disappearing when you looked at the footage back.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful. I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't really know the light was going to be gone like that.
Yeah, very good stuff.
Yeah,
excellent.
Can you guys not hear me?
No, we hear you.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Okay, I just want Jose to help us out with the moon footage the next couple of days if he can.
Yes, I will be looking up. It's very cloudy today. It's kind of patches of blue in between the clouds, so I might be able to catch the moon today a little bit, and then I'll look again tomorrow.
What you're gonna have to do, Jose, you're gonna have to get a Skyview app or something that will show you where it is because it won't be visible.
Oh yeah, I
okay?
got it. Yeah, I got it here.
Okay. All right, man. All right. Thanks.
And I will be taking my time scanning, just scanning the whole section where the moon is supposed to be, to see if I get it. And I'm gonna get it in the first at least 2 hours after the sunrise, maybe a few hours later. So I'm gonna try to get it in those first hours in the morning.
Excellent stuff. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do, but if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!